The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough.
You're not struggling because you're poor. You're struggling because you live in the USA. You're struggling because prices have gone up tremendously, but the wages haven't.
How are people sleeping? Like, I am losing sleep over this. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people dying, like starving to death.
I honestly have no idea what to do anymore. I'm sitting here, it's almost midnight. I've been scrolling for hours, just looking for jobs, like extra jobs. I work 2 jobs right now, and I feel like I can't even afford, what I'm trying to pay for.
The burnout in America is unreal. Did you see the headline that said 43% of Americans have used vacation time to just spend the day in bed? They're not using PTO to travel.
The burden on the American people for basic survival is now just simply too much for the average person. The money's not worth enough, people aren't making enough, and the cost of shit is just too high.
I mean, yes, I understand struggling is a part of life. We all struggled, but there's a difference between struggling and drowning, all right? So we struggled, and it was tough. But you know what? We made it. We knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel with our struggle. Today, no matter how much they struggle, they just get further and further down the water into the drowning point.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those 2 things come out of their paycheck and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a 1-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, that car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home and you only eat decent quality food because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75,000 a year, and outside of a car payment, you have 0 debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, that's $300. Shut up. Shut your stupid, contrarian, edgelord mouth. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to... There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world. This is unsustainable.
You're not struggling because you're poor. You're struggling because you live in the USA. You're struggling because prices have gone up tremendously, but the wages haven't. You're struggling because your bills continue to increase, but your wages haven't. You're struggling because you have greedy, corrupt CEOs of companies that are continuing to record record profits but are refusing to pay their workers a livable wage. You're struggling because the country that prints money won't give that money back to its people. You're struggling because the country that is in $37 trillion and counting worth of debt somehow finds a way to give billions of dollars to fund new wars but won't find any money to fund the poor. You're struggling because this country is stealing 30 to 40% of your income, if not more. You're struggling because after this country wrongfully took 30 to 40% of your income, they're telling you to pay more during tax season. You're struggling because homes that used to cost $150,000 to $200,000 10 to 15 years ago are now costing $400,000 if not $500,000. You're struggling because those starter homes that used to be seen as affordable are now being bought by large corporations. You're struggling because rent was under $1,000 10 to 15 years ago is now costing almost $3,000 for a one bedroom. You're struggling because these greedy landlords continue to increase the rent. You're struggling because a $100 grocery bill 10 to 15 years ago will get you a huge haul, will now only get you a few things in 2025. You're struggling because the gas that you use to fill up your car used to be $1 and some change per gallon is now almost $4 a gallon. You're struggling because the cost of having a good time and living life has gone up tremendously. An airplane ticket used to be $200 round trip is now $400 one way. It used to cost under $1,000 to enjoy a vacation. Now it's costing almost $3,000 to $4,000 depending on where you go. You're struggling because you're forced to get a second job just to make ends meet as things continue to skyrocket. You're struggling because the American dream is no longer the American dream. It's the American nightmare.
How are people sleeping? Like, I am losing sleep over this. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people dying, like starving to death. And we're all just going on with our normal lives. And there's babies screaming and crying because they don't have any milk. They have no food. What the fuck are we doing? If you are not standing against this, you are a part of this. What do we do? I am just some fucking mom in Nevada. I don't know what to do to help. Please, someone tell me, what do we do? I'm sitting here watching China dropping food, and we're doing nothing but supplying military arms. Like, what the fuck are we doing? I just put my little baby, 18-month-old baby, to sleep after a full tummy in a warm bed. And there are babies covered in flies, fucking starving. And we're just over here, just fucking living our lives. Please, someone tell me what we do. How do we help? This is not okay.
I honestly have no idea what to do anymore. I'm sitting here, it's almost midnight. I've been scrolling for hours, just looking for jobs, like extra jobs. I work 2 jobs right now, and I feel like I can't even afford, what I'm trying to pay for. My rent's so expensive. I go to the grocery store today, I get bread, peanut butter, jelly, and milk, and it comes out to almost $18. $18 for sandwich ingredients without any protein and milk. My phone bill's expensive, gas is expensive, and I'm just like, man, I'm a 28-year-old. I'm out here in Oregon, and I honestly don't even know what to do. Something needs to change. Something must change very, very fast, or I honestly, I don't know if I'll be able to survive this. I've talked to many people. They're in the same boat, so I want to use this page as a place for people to come support each other and just, hopefully get through this together, because I know it's not just me. We're in this together. It's going to be okay, but we really got to ride this out together.
The burnout in America is unreal. Did you see the headline that said 43% of Americans have used vacation time to just spend the day in bed? They're not using PTO to travel, they're using it to sleep. That's how tired we are. And I can already see the comments now. You guys are getting vacation time? I've heard stories of European coworkers not being able to meet their American coworkers in multinational companies because they don't want the American workers finding out how much vacation time the Europeans get. If people from the States found out how much vacation time you get in Europe, I think there would be some big changes like tomorrow. It is unreal having to live in a place where you have to pick either getting a surgery or putting it off because you don't have the time to take off from work. This can't be healthy. This can't be the right way to live. That's why we're moving to Europe, the land of sunshine and rainbows. I like to say that to rile up my comments. No, we're moving to Portugal, a country within Europe that has its own slew of problems, of course, like anywhere else. But we're escaping the work culture. We're escaping the hustle and bustle and the never being able to take time for yourself. I'm turning 30 soon, and this can't be it. This can't be all there is to life. I refuse to believe it. And even if I fall flat in my face, well, damn it, I'm gonna try. If you find that interesting, stick around. We're moving next year, and we can't be more excited. And in the meantime, to all my American friends, don't be ashamed to take a day off or two. We could all use a break.
What's up, America? People struggling even though they're working harder than they ever have in their lives. So I think a lot of people here in America are starting to figure out that even making $100,000 a year isn't gonna cut it, and everybody's still struggling. There's only so many fucking hours you can work before you run out of actual living time. You can only work so much before it starts interfering with just basic feeding yourself, pissing in a toilet, and sleeping. And that's what's happening with America. The burden on the American people for basic survival is now just simply too much for the average person. The money's not worth enough, people aren't making enough, and the cost of shit is just too high. Doesn't matter what it is, the cost is just too high. I mean, there's absolutely nothing that's cheap right now. People don't make enough money, and the value's not worth it. So you wonder why the younger generation doesn't want to work really super hard. It's because even if they do, they see that there's no way whatsoever to do everything that the generations before them could do, like buy a house, own a car, go on vacation. The younger generation already realizes with inflation and stagnant wages, if they work 96 hours a week, they won't be able to afford shit still. They'll have to get a minimum of 2 and/or 3 jobs and do that until they retire, and then after they retire, they'll just simply fucking die. And they'll get robbed on the way out for healthcare costs as well, and funeral costs, and taxes, and every other goddamn thing. So people aren't lazy in America, people aren't stupid in America, they're just giving up. They're just simply giving up. It's too fucking difficult. You tell everybody you need at least $100,000 a year, you finally make it, then you need 170. By the time you get there, now you need 250,000 a year. It's a never-ending goalpost move, so what's the fucking point of trying? Just to keep alive and not starving to death? Well, that fucking sucks. That's not a life. No, that's just basic survival getting back shots financially from major corporations. So you need to lower the burden on the American people. It's not fun out here and it sucks. And it was never meant to be fun, but you can at least give people some type of upward mobility and gain. This is dog shit.
I am so tired of feeling helpless as a parent. Yes, my kids are grown adults. My oldest is 28, my youngest is 25. And I thought by teaching them what I learned, which is you work hard, you get a good job, you're going to get the things in life that you need, right? Worked for me. Why wouldn't it work for them? Because it doesn't. Because the world has fucking changed, all right? And now I feel like I see them struggling. And before my generation comes at me, yes, I understand struggling is a part of life. We all struggled. But there's a difference between struggling and drowning, all right? So we struggled and it was tough. But you know what? We made it. We knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel with our struggle. It seems like kids today, no matter how much they struggle, they just get further and further down the water into the drowning point. All right. When I was their age, I was making less than $10 an hour. And I could afford to live on my own. Now you have to be making 6-figure salary to get a decent, tiny little place to live. So what the fuck is going on and how do we help them as parents? I told my son, all you have to do is work hard, go to college or join the military like I did. He went to college, got his degree, got a full-time job. He moved back in with me right when he graduated from college because he said, hey, Mom, as soon as I get a job, which was within 2 weeks of him getting out of college, maybe take me 2 months and I'll save up enough money for me to move out. Okay, cool. It's been 10 months. He has saved almost every dime and still can't afford to live. Why are 1-bedroom studio apartments almost $2,000 a month? Why? Like, I just don't get it. So I don't even think that there's even classes anymore. There used to be, upper class, middle class, lower class. It's literally turning into the ultra wealthy and then everybody else is just poor. Like, that's what is happening. And then I told him, hey, when you turn 25, at least your car insurance will go down. Hell no, he turned 25 and his car insurance went up $150. I tell him, you know, if you need health insurance, get a good job. He has health insurance. He has had a medical emergency this week. Had to go to emergency room twice. He had to go to the emergency room because he couldn't get anybody to see him with the health insurance that he had. Right? So he had to go to an emergency room. Now he's out money for that too. It seems like you can never get ahead. And then my daughter, I told her all you have to do, because she wanted to buy her own house. My daughter worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day to save up enough for this down payment. Finally got this house. She's paying double what I'm paying for my mortgage, but her loan was the same amount. And then her mortgage company, after she's already moved in, said, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you that you need this type of coverage, which we forgot in the beginning. That's an extra $200 you've been paying a month. And all they see when they come home is they watch social media, kids their age on lavish vacations with all this money and nothing to do, all these social media influencers, because we value those types of things over hard workers. We will pay them $10,000, but you'll work 40 hours a week, you can't afford it.
Is anyone else completely sick and tired of living in America where you're expected to work your entire life? Like, we are not here to work. Our jobs are not our lives. Our jobs are not our purpose. Like, everyone asks me, like, what's your job? What are you doing with your life? Like, I'm just trying to save enough and get passive income so I can go travel the world and start my life. Like, everyone thinks their purpose is to work. Like, you get done with high school, then you go to college for 4 years, then you're $30,000 in debt, and then you're trying to find a job just so you can pay off that debt over the next 3 years. And then what? Then you're making enough money just to pay your mortgage and afford groceries and then pay for kids. And then before you know it, you're 60 and you're retiring and your body hurts because of your job and you didn't do anything that you wanted to do. And that's our life. That's what you're expected to do. And if you break out of that, then people are going to judge you and think you're weird or you're crazy or you're a hippie. I'm so sick of it. America needs to make a change. Something needs to change because people are not happy here. People are not living their dreams. People are not living their life. They are working. They think that their work is their life. It is not that way.
Americans are so broke and they don't even realize it. I always get Americans tell me, oh, but people in Mexico only make $20 a day. You can get a full meal here for $2. The metro in Mexico City costs 5 pesos, which is like 25 cents. I can go to the market right now and buy 3 kilos of mangoes for like $2. Yeah, people make less money here, but the cost of living is also lower. Americans think that everywhere is like the US. Now, check this out. Let's say you live in the US and you make $3,500 a month after taxes. I'm being generous. Rent, $2,000. Car payment, $500. Car insurance, $200. Health insurance, $200. Phone bill, $100. Wi-Fi bill, $50. Light bill, $150. Water bill, $100. What's the point of making more money if you don't get to keep any of it? Who cares if you make $4,000 a month if you don't get to keep any of it? 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and that includes half of 6-figure earners. 80% of you guys are in debt and don't own anything, and half of you guys don't even have $500 in your savings account. But let's call other countries poor and let's call other people poor. Living paycheck to paycheck your whole life and being in debt your whole life should be considered poverty, but it's not. And I know this is going to hurt a lot of Americans, but it's the truth. The US system wants you to spend every waking moment of your life working and paying into a system that will never benefit you. Slaving away your whole life just to be retired for a measly 10 years. At least here in Mexico, we own our things. We own our houses. We own our cars. We're not in debt. But anyways, that's a story for another day. Let me know what you guys think.